I think sometimes we make happiness much more complicated than it needs to be. When we're feeling a little bit stressed or overwhelmed or unmotivated or just not quite ourselves, we imagine that we need to change our whole lifestyle or have the perfect morning routine, take a vacation, or wait for the weekend to feel better. But I've learned that it can also be the tiny things that can make any ordinary day or even a slightly difficult day feel noticeably better. So in today's video, I want to share with you 10 of my favorite micro habits that can give your day a little boost and that only take minutes or sometimes even seconds and can actually fit into any ordinary day. And some of these might sound a little unusual, but there actually are some interesting ideas from psychology behind why these can work, and I have definitely found a lot of value in these myself as well. This video is also kindly sponsored by Savoring, and I'll tell you more about them later. For now, feel free to grab yourself something nice to drink if you want and join me. I have some passion flower, chamomile, and sage tea right here. So let's talk about it. The first idea is to include one tiny thing into your morning routine so that you have something to look forward to every morning. And I recently learned just how powerful it can be to have one small thing to look forward to from the moment you wake up. I recently learned more about this when I was making my video about the Japanese philosophy of ikigai, and one idea that really stayed with me was this idea of having little reasons to get up in the morning. Because I think that accidentally, what can happen very easily is that we structure our days so that all the nice things come later. So you wake up, you immediately think about all the things that you have to do, like get ready, maybe go to work or to school or take care of kids or pets. Or even on a day off, it might be answering emails or cleaning the house or running errands. And so there isn't really anything nice to look forward to until the evening. Or even maybe it's Monday and the first actual thing that you have to look forward to is on the weekend. And I'm not saying that every morning needs to be super special. It can be a tiny small thing. So for me, it is my breakfast and my green tea. It is small, and I know that when I wake up and when I get up out of bed, I have a nice breakfast and a nice little green tea moment to look forward to. And it makes me more excited to get up when the alarm clock goes off. And it can be anything. Maybe it's drinking your favorite coffee or reading 5 pages of a book or doing a quick little morning yoga session or sitting in a garden for a few minutes. It doesn't have to be a big reward. I actually think the smaller and the easier, the better. Just something to give you a tiny bit of anticipation to get up. Because research suggests that anticipation of positive experiences can boost our well-being. So before you even get up, you can think about what is one small thing that you have to look forward to quite early on in your day. And if you cannot think of something, then that is a sign to add something and give yourself something nice to look forward to, so you don't have to wait until the evening or even the weekend to have, something nice happen. Number 2 is to learn to savor things more. This is something that I've practiced with and become better at over the years, because I used to be quite quick to move on from nice moments. I would make myself a cup of tea and then maybe take one sip and then move on with work or check my phone, or I would go to bed and not really notice how soft and nice and comfortable I felt. I learned that sometimes we don't actually need more nice things in our life. We just need to become better at noticing the nice things that are already there. And again, it doesn't have to be a big thing. What I've learned to do is just kind of appreciate something as it's happening and say to myself in my head something like, oh, this is really nice. And I do this little trick, which sounds a little weird, but actually I find it to be really helpful, is imagining watching myself in the moment that I'm in from someone else, as if I'm in a movie or a commercial. You know, when you're watching a movie of someone sitting on the bed reading a book, but because of the way that it is filmed with the cozy room and maybe the light coming in through the window and a steaming cup of tea right next to them, it suddenly looks like this really special moment. So when I'm in my reading chair or when I'm drinking a cup of tea right next to the window, I sometimes practice looking at my life from the outside, and suddenly I notice things more. I notice how comfortable things are. I notice how cozy they look, and it makes me appreciate it more. So I know this sounds a little silly, but I really invite you to try it, because sometimes when we see someone else do something, it looks really nice and special, but when we do it, we've become so used to our surroundings and the way we do things, we don't really notice it anymore. So this can really help. Number 3 is a game changer, and that is self-compassionate touch as a daily practice. I really wish that this is something that we could talk about more, because it is actually possible to physically comfort yourself, and it actually works. So we all know the power that a hug from someone that we love can have, but somehow giving ourselves that kind of physical comfort can feel strange. I remember when I first learned this and when I put my hand on my arm, and I suddenly felt really emotional because I just realized that I wasn't used to giving myself support like this. But now I've gotten quite good at this, so when I feel stressed or overwhelmed or emotional, sometimes I will place my hands on my chest. I need to be careful with the mic there, but you get what I mean. Or I might gently stroke my own arm for a little bit, and it works. And there is research behind this. So one study found that placing your hand on your chest or on your belly can reduce the cortisol response of a stressful experience. And there is more research that shows the benefits of self-compassionate touch as a daily practice, and it only has to take a few seconds. And you don't have to turn this into a whole exercise. Just when you feel like you might need a little bit of support, get used to placing your hands on your heart, or stroking your own arm, or maybe touching your own shoulders or your neck, or just giving yourself a little hug. It's basically giving yourself the physical equivalent of saying something like, "I've got you." Number 4 is making ordinary or daily routines a little bit nicer. We do so many things on a daily or semi-daily basis without really thinking about them. Things like brushing our teeth, or washing the dishes, or making coffee, or running an errand. And I'm not saying, obviously, that we need to turn all of them into some kind of elaborate, romanticized routine. But sometimes making one little change or adding one nice thing there can just make your day a little bit nicer. For me, sometimes I like to put on some music when I'm cooking dinner, or use a really nice, fancy smelling soap in the shower, or kind of take a moment to massage in my moisturizer instead of just slapping it on there. I found that making little routines feel just a bit more pleasant. It kind of trains you into noticing how your ordinary day can have small moments of joy. So maybe I am planning on walking to the grocery store and I'm not exactly looking forward to getting groceries. I might, take a little detour and watch the ducks in the ponds for a minute before I get my groceries, and it just makes it a little bit nicer. So just kind of taking something quite ordinary and making it feel a little bit more special. And speaking of that, here is where I'm excited to talk to you about today's sponsor, which is Suri, because one daily routine that I have recently upgraded is brushing my teeth. My dental health really improved when I started brushing electric on my dentist's recommendation, but my previous toothbrush was just not great. It was super loud, it was super bulky, there was always this toothpaste grime getting on there. It needed constant charging, which was annoying, and then also, of course, there's the plastic brush heads that can't be recycled. But then I switched over to Suri, which was more than a year ago now, and I'm still so happy with this brush because it solved all of these issues. It's high quality, it has a slim and durable aluminum body, it is quiet, and the battery lasts 30 days, so I don't have to constantly charge it. And the brush heads are plant-based and can be recycled for free by Suri. And I keep it on the mirror mount for a clutter-free and mess-free bathroom, and the brush always looks fresh this way, so no more toothpaste stains. I love the travel case too. It is super compact, just like the brush, so I just throw this in my bag, and it has a built-in UVC light that keeps your brush bacteria free. But the best thing is that this is just a really good brush. It is designed and tested by dentists. It has 33,000 sonic vibrations per minute. It's got a pressure sensor, it's got a timer, and it gives me a really good clean while still being gentle on the gums. As a minimalist, if I'm going to replace something that I already own, I want it to be a thoughtful upgrade, something that will stay with me for years and that is actually better than what I had before, and my Suri brush definitely is that. So if you are looking for a better brush, then you can use my code Vera15 or click the link in the description box to get 15% off. Big thanks to Suri for supporting the channel, and let's get back to the video. Number 5 of my favorite micro habits that can help boost your daily happiness is doing one tiny thing that makes someone else feel good. I think that sometimes we might underestimate the power of doing one small act of kindness for someone else's day, and therefore also our day. Recently, I was standing in an elevator with a woman who had kind of unusual earrings in, and I just said to her, "Hey, I really like your earrings." And she just lit up and she told me that she made them herself, and it was clear that my compliment meant a lot to her and that it made her day a little bit brighter. And it only took me like 5 seconds. And because of that, it made my day a little bit brighter too. So since then, I've been trying to spot little opportunities like that more. So if I'm checking out my groceries and that person has nice nails, I'll say like, hey, nice nails. Or if someone is having difficulty reaching something from a top shelf in a supermarket, I'll ask if they need some help. And it's tiny moments like this. It costs me almost nothing, but it really is very powerful. And I don't know if you can relate to this, but this actually takes a little bit of practice for me because I can get really stuck in my own head sometimes and kind of forget about the world and the people around me. So I've really been trying to train myself to notice this. And there is research linking these little positive social interactions and random acts of kindness with a greater well-being. So you're not just making someone else's day better, but also your own. It can also just be sending someone a text, letting them know that you're thinking about them, or sending them a picture of something that reminds you of them, or just wishing them good luck on something that they've got going on that day. By the way, with filming this video, I hope it's okay because the lighting is being super weird today. The sky is turning really bright and then really dark every couple of minutes, and I also have to film with the door and the window open because it's way too warm and I have no business wearing a long sleeve right now. But I need them to be open, and so I'm kind of like trying to talk in between the traffic noise and stuff. But anyway, I hope it's okay. Number 6 is looking at something really beautiful and that gives you a sense of awe. And this is of course good for everyone, but it is something that I've especially become more intentional about since learning about being a highly sensitive person. If you have a more sensitive nervous system, then everyday stimulation can quickly drain you. Things like noise and crowds and strong lights. We're not just more affected by things that overwhelm the senses, but we are also deeply moved by things that are beautiful or meaningful. And research into sensory processing sensitivity, which is the scientific term, has also linked this with aesthetic sensitivity, things like art and nature. And I definitely experience this myself too. When I feel drained or overwhelmed, looking at something beautiful or meaningful can help to recharge my battery. Maybe it's a piece of music that really moves me, or when I'm taking a walk, just kind of looking at the sky through the leaves of a tree, or learning more about a very famous work of art. When we see that aesthetic beauty and experience that feeling of awe, it can help to increase those positive feelings, and also maybe let go of some other things that we're preoccupied with that aren't as important. So next time you have some downtime and you're feeling a little bit drained, maybe see if you can look up something beautiful or something awe-inspiring. So maybe beautiful music, or going to watch the sunset, or a beautiful flower, or a little bird somewhere, something that makes you stop and look twice. Number 7, one of my favorites, doing a little 60-second reset in one tiny area. We don't always have to clean our entire house or declutter all of our things we don't need. Sometimes if your home environment feels a little bit chaotic, it can already be super helpful to just fix one tiny visible thing. This makes such a big difference for me when I'm here and there's like things lying around after filming, or my desk is cluttered, or my bed isn't made. It can kind of add to that heavy, overwhelming sensation. And this used to kind of paralyze me because I felt like I needed to do everything and clean everything in order to feel like I had, things back under control. And that was a little bit too much for me, so I kind of just did nothing. And now I just try to fix one visible thing that is bothering me. I make the bed, or I do the dishes, or I tidy my desk. And it really makes me feel better. It's nice because not only does it make your space feel nicer to be in, but it also gives you that sense of accomplishment, like, okay, I did something, I took control, and I fixed something. And of course, sometimes we do need to do a bigger project, like declutter a whole room, or clean, several things in the house. That's great too. But this is something that you can do like once or twice a day, just to create a little bit of sense of, accomplishment and a little bit more order around you. If you spend a large part of your day sitting behind a desk, like me, then this one is important, and that is to check your posture every once in a while and move around for a minute. I always notice this when I'm sitting at my desk writing a video script for a few hours or editing a video. It's not just my body that starts to feel kind of stuck. It's also that I'm starting to feel a little bit like sluggish mentally. So when I've kind of been sitting like this, I might check my posture, sit up straight, do some neck rolls, do a little breath work. Another one that I really love is to stand up and just shake out your body, shake out your arms, shake out your legs. It helps get the juices flowing, and it's a great way to reset the nervous system. I also like to walk to the kettle and make myself a cup of tea, and while I'm waiting for the water to boil, kind of like walk around a bit. Maybe, I don't know, water some plants or something. If you're in the habit of just getting the juices flowing physically every hour or so, that can also help to get the juices flowing mentally, emotionally, creatively, and it helps to reset and balance out the nervous system as well. The next one might sound a little strange and feel a little silly, but it is to give yourself a 5-second smile. We usually think of facial expressions kind of like in one way, like if we are happy, we smile. If we're sad, our face changes accordingly. But there's an interesting idea in psychology called the facial feedback hypothesis that suggests that this can also work the other way around. So if we change our facial expression, it can also change how we feel. So research has found that deliberately smiling, even if the smile feels fake or forced or weird or like you're not actually laughing, can give your mood a little boost. And the effect is a little bit small, so it's not obviously going to change a super terrible day, but it is enough to give you a little bit of an emotional nudge. And for me, I've noticed this. So when I have been working for a couple of hours, kind of like being very concentrated, and my face is just kind of like, I have my resting face going on, then deliberately smiling for a few minutes does make me feel a little bit more uplifted. And if you feel weird just smiling for no reason, then you can also try to actually make yourself laugh by watching something funny, which is also something that I like to do sometimes. For me, silly cat videos usually do the trick. I find something really funny, it makes me laugh, and it breaks up the tension and the mood. But yes, sometimes a slight physical change can really be so beneficial for our mood. You can also take some deep breaths, or if you really want some relief, I suggest doing a really big sigh, which is a game changer. It works wonders. Or to go like And something else you can do is to give yourself a tiny little nostalgia break, something that I think also can be underestimated because nostalgia can be really powerful. Maybe look at an old photo and let yourself remember a nice memory and ask yourself, like, who were you with? What were you doing? How were you feeling? What was it like? For me, recently, I've been looking at some video clips every now and then from concerts that we went to. It's kind of like reliving the experience and seeing the band and seeing how the crowd reacts and remembering how excited I was. It's such a nice little pick-me-up. Or recently, I kind of took a deep dive into one of the songs from one of my ultimate favorite video games, Final Fantasy X. The very famous song called To Xanarkand, which is such a nostalgic song for me. It's also just really beautiful, but it was also the song that I played in my one and only piano recital that I ever did when I was a teenager. And just going into that song and learning more about how it was composed and listening to it a couple times, it's such a nice mood boost. And nostalgia can even feel a little bit sad sometimes, like this longing feeling of how something used to be, or maybe even someone who isn't with you anymore. But I also think that that can be quite nice because it can give you a little bit of emotional release and kind of just get unblocked a little bit. Plus, when we recall positive nostalgic memories, it can help to increase positive emotions and feelings of connection, meaning, and gratitude. If you're having a slightly difficult day, then finding a piece of your past that makes you happy and kind of staying with it for a minute can be super powerful. I would love to hear your thoughts about these micro habits in the comments, and also a quick reminder that I am running a sale on my digital products to celebrate the 9th birthday of Simple Happy Zen. So the channel turned 9 years old this month, and to celebrate for the rest of August, everything is 20% off. It's been such a wonderful journey sharing my videos with you over the last 9 years, and I also wanted to create something for those of you who wanted to go a little bit deeper. Whether that is finally decluttering your home, learning to slow down, or simplifying your life. So that is why I created my decluttering ebook, my Simplify Your Life online course, and my 30-day slow living program to give you that structure guidance and step-by-step support that I simply cannot fit into a YouTube video, so that you can take that inspiration and actually turn it into lasting change. And it's been so lovely to see my resources help so many people, because by now more than 1,000 people have purchased one of my courses or my ebook, and out of more than 200 reviews, they've scored an average of 4.7 out of 5 stars, which is something that I'm kind of proud of. So for the rest of August, everything is 20% off. You can use the code SUMMER26 at checkout, and all the links are in the description box. Again, that is my decluttering ebook, my Simplify Your Life online course, and my 30-day slow living program. There is no overlap in between these products. So sometimes people ask me, like, can I also do more? Or is there overlap? But there's no overlap. So you can choose multiple for more savings if that is something that you want. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And also don't forget to check out Suri. You can get 15% off with my link and discount code in the description box. And as always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all again really soon. Bye-bye. So it actually rained last night and this morning, and I cannot tell you how happy I was with the rain. I felt like doing a little song and dance, because boy did we need it.